Hello guys, TavHD here and welcome back to another video. And if you remember, a couple of months back I bought an eMac. This was only £20 off Facebook Marketplace and it was spares or repair because it had no hard drive. But it turns out it does have a hard drive and it's got Leopard installed, but it will not fully boot. It gets to the desktop, then crashes, then has some strange artifacting going on now. I'm pretty sure that that's because one of the capacitors, or maybe more than one of the capacitors, have failed. These eMacs are known for having failing capacitors, and that creates the sort of symptoms which I am seeing. However, I don't want to accept the truth, so today we are going to do a little bit of troubleshooting. Now, I've not even attempted to turn this on since the last time I made a video about it, so it's just been sat under my desk gathering dust. It's got dust all over it, and I am actually filming on my bed. I've put an old desktop on top of my bed, then put this on top because it will probably snap my desk if I was to put it on there. So I am doing this on my bed. I'm going to end up with a pretty dirty bed at the end of this. So today we're going to turn it on straight away just to see what happens, and after that we'll do a little bit of troubleshooting. But if you did see the previous video about this, you may remember that it smelt a bit funny. It smelt a bit burnt, and that was a little bit concerning to me. However, I've put that down to just the amount of dust that's in there, so I don't think there's a particularly big fire risk with this thing, but I have got a fire extinguisher nearby just in case. But I think the first thing we should do is just try and turn this thing on, and maybe it's magically fixed itself. Who knows? I'll go turn the power cable on, and then we can press the power button and see if anything happens. Okay, I have just plugged the power cable into the wall. I will reach over to the power button. I'm going to press it, and then let's see what happens. Okay, so it did just bong. Let's see if we can get this thing to boot up at all. Alright, we have got an Apple logo. I remember this sometimes made it past the spinning wheel into the desktop before it crashed, but sometimes it crashed on the loading screen and the wheel froze. So let's just see what happens this time. And I will apologise for the awful filming with the strobing. There's not a lot I can do about that right now. So it looks like it's still loading, which is kind of a miracle, but I don't expect this thing to boot. If it does, that will be very interesting. As you can probably hear, the fan is running pretty loud. Oh, it looks like we are getting somewhere. I'll finish that sentence in a moment. Alright, I'll finish now. The fan's running loud because it's got that weird fan mate thing in it, which someone's added at some point. I'm getting to just control the speed of the fan. It's currently running at full, it seems, but let's now just see what happens. If it's doing the same thing as it was before, we'll get some sort of lines going across the screen, but let's just wait. The spinning wheel is currently spinning. That will probably freeze, and then the lines will come across. I've not plugged in a keyboard or mouse. I don't really think it's necessary at this stage, so let's just see. This thing's definitely taking its time today. I wouldn't be surprised if the hard drive is also on its way out. But so far it's not frozen, it's still spinning. Just got a little bit of a closer angle so you can definitely see the spinny wheel thing. And it's still going. It's not frozen and crashed yet, but I suspect it will because it's definitely taking its time to load up the desktop here. Alright, so this thing's just being silly now. The beach ball is still spinning, but this is the longest it's ever taken to get to this point. It's probably been about 5 minutes since I ended the last clip, and still nothing is happening. But it's not frozen yet, so that might be a good sign, although I don't really know. Because if it just crashes after a certain amount of time, then it's definitely gone past that amount of time now, and it still seems to be spinning, so I'm not really sure what's going on. I think I'm going to plug in a mouse, see if I can move the cursor at all, and then maybe that will make it crash. I don't know, I guess I'll just plug in a mouse. So this is interesting, I have plugged in a mouse and the cursor is actually moving. The beach ball is moving. Usually the cursor just stops working. Let's try and just click. So I'm clicking and nothing is happening, I'm guessing because it's still trying to load something. I have no clue what it's trying to load because it's definitely not loading anything so far. Yeah, I can't currently click on anything, so I think I'm going to hard shut it down, reboot it, and just see if that makes any sort of difference. I don't know if it will, but let's just try. Alright, it's now off, and now I have booted it back up. We've got a bong yet again, which is a good sign. I'm guessing if this just crashes again in the same way, I'll see if I can get into the boot menu, make sure the hard drive is fully detected, and then I think we'll go from there. But there we go, it looks like this thing is going to try loading up yet again. We've got a blue screen yet again. Let's see if I can move the cursor. Yeah, the cursor is moving. I'm guessing it will turn back into a beach ball in a moment. But the refresh rate of this display does look great. Of course, CRTs being CRTs, they can refresh quite high, and this one is definitely looking nice, even if the computer isn't particularly nice. Now we've got a beach ball again. It is still spinning. It hasn't loaded up the menu bar like it did last time, but so far we aren't getting any artifacts, so this is definitely a bit strange. Been another few minutes, the beach ball is still spinning, my cursor still moves, but we are getting nowhere with the progress of the boot up. It looks like it's just stuck here yet again, so I really don't know what's happening with this thing. It wasn't doing this the last time I turned it on. I'm actually quite interested to see what's up with this thing. Okay, one thing I'm going to try is Option R on boot up, just to see if I can get this computer to do any sort of function without hanging. So I will get ready to hold the keys down, and I will now press the power button. I am holding the keys down. Let's see if it will do what I'm asking it to. Nope, it didn't like that. It's just trying to boot yet again. It doesn't look like it's actually recognising my keyboard. I can't make the caps lock or the num lock light up, which is silly. It's not an Apple keyboard, it's a Microsoft Curve keyboard. However, I know that this thing does work with Macs, and I've used it with Macs of this age before. It works with my G5 just fine, so this is strange. It recognises my mouse, but not my keyboard. That is definitely strange. I really don't know what is up with this thing, so I think we're going to have to try and do... it seems to be doing something again, and I'm guessing it will just hang here. Oh no, we've got a little bit further. So the menu bar is here, and so is the icon for the hard drive. Now we've not got a spinning wheel, we've got the cursor, but I can't move the mouse, I can't do anything. So it has crashed again, but at a different stage yet again. There's no artifacting happening, so I'm not too sure, but I can't control this thing at all. Can't control the volume. Usually the volume keys on my keyboard do work with Mac OS. That's not working. I'll hold down F12, which is eject. It's not ejecting even if I hold down function and then F12. No, this thing is completely frozen. Alright, so there's two things I'm going to do today to try and narrow down the problem. Whether I actually will be able to narrow down the problem or not is of course another thing. So I'm going to take the bottom panel off this, troubleshoot the RAM, take each stick out at a time, try and boot it up, see what happens. Then there's also a little button in there to reset something. I can't remember what it resets, but I'll put it on screen now. Maybe that will help. I don't know. So let's just flip this thing over, and I know that to press the button to do the reset thing you need to leave the power cable plugged in, so I think I'm going to do that first. Okay, so let's now take this bottom panel off. There is of course just one screw holding it down, and it is a capped screw, so I should just be able to get this thing to come off. There we are, that panel is now off, and in there are our sticks of RAM as well as that button which does some resetting. So it's very difficult to show on camera, but it is just down there. So I am going to press that just once. The Apple website says otherwise you can crash it, so just once. There we go, I have now pressed that button. Let's put the panel back on, boot this thing up, and let's just see whether that made any sort of difference. For some reason, I doubt it will have done. Alright, so I've now just booted it back up and it's now making some sort of rattly noise. I'm guessing I didn't put the screw in all the way, but that's not a problem. But let's see if this thing does anything now. Okay, so it seems to be loading up the operating system again, but let's see if it gets further than the other few times. Alright, so it's loaded even more this time, but it's just frozen again. Well, this time it managed to load more icons and it managed to bring up this warning. This is as far as we got in the original video without it crashing, but still there's no artifacting on the screen, so I'm not sure why that is. I'm pretty sure every time in the other video it did end up artifacting, but doesn't look like it is now. But it has crashed yet again. So there's a flaw with my plan of taking each RAM stick out and trying them individually. This thing won't meet the requirements for Leopard if I do that, so it won't boot anyway. So I've just turned this off so it doesn't explode, but I'll now finish saying what I was saying. If I take the RAM out one stick at a time, then put it in the other slots, it won't boot at all anyway because it won't meet the requirements. So I don't think we can do that test today, mainly because it won't really help us, because it's not booting now and it won't boot if I take half the RAM out. So unless I can find some new RAM laying about which is the correct capacity to put in this thing to test, I'm not really sure what else to do. We've not really done much troubleshooting today, so I don't think I can call the video that. I think I'll just call it more Strangeness from the eMac, because that's what it is. We got further along and we didn't actually get any artifacting, which is actually quite strange. So maybe it just got bumped around a bit in the back of the car when I brought it home, and now it's been sat still for a while, it's settled, and that problem has gone away. So I don't think that this is the end for the eMac. There will be a follow-up at some point to this video. Now, I remember I said that this video, which you're watching now, would happen maybe a week after the first one. That didn't happen, other things happened instead, but hopefully after not too long I will do something else with this. I think I'll try booting it off maybe a Tiger drive to see if it will boot off that, because maybe it just doesn't like Leopard. There will be another video on this thing in the not too distant future which will be troubleshooting the eMac. This is just more silliness because it's not really fixed and we don't really know what's wrong with it. It's just shown slightly different symptoms, which is strange. So I think that that will be it for this video. Of course, this thing was only £20. I've made 2 videos about it. It's definitely interesting and it's a pretty cool computer to have. So even if we can't get it to work in the future, it looks quite nice just to have on display. So I'm not really too bothered about losing my £20. But I'm still not sure why he said it didn't have a hard drive. Maybe he knew there was some complicated problem with it which he just couldn't be bothered explaining in the listing, so it was easier just to put no hard drive. Who knows? Who knows whether we will get this thing working in the future? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that will now be it for this video, so thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this was interesting in some way. We've not really developed the storyline with this thing at all, but hopefully we will be able to get closer to this thing working in the not too distant future. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.